Hey everyone, Jack here at the Cryton Chronicles, and today is day 2 of the A to Z 2017 challenge. Um, the letter is B, and the subject is board games. If you're curious to learn more about the A to Z, I'll have links in the description below, as well as to the Cryton Chronicles site, the official Facebook page, and once this is done and up on the iJack blog on the Cryton Chronicles, the specific post. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna go through briefly about board games and the role they played in my life. I'll just start from, I guess when I was young. I mean, board games have played a role that I'm a gamer, so video games and board games. So I've kind of fluxed and into which I'm more into throughout the years. But yeah, as a kid, it was definitely more board games. And I would say that I don't know. I can't remember what my very first board game was. It probably was something like Candyland or something like that, but I just don't quite remember. But what I do remember are some of my favorite ones that I played, and those would be along the lines of Clue. I loved Clue, Monopoly. Despite those who now play more modern designer games, they have a lot of negativity around games like Monopoly and such. But I personally am nostalgic about it. It's just one that we used to play way back, and yeah, so I don't mind it. Risk, um, Kerplunk. I don't know how popular that is with a lot of people. I think it was from my dad's kind of era, and he kind of introduced us to it. I think a lot of these had resurgences again of like Rock'em Sock'em robots or whatever, and I know those came back. We liked that a lot. Me and my brother would go at it. Um, yeah, I don't remember if I said Hungry Hungry Hippos, but yeah, loved Fireball Island, and yeah, there was a lot of them. Mousetrap was a huge one actually. So yeah, so those are were a lot of my beginner board games and kind of introduced to them. And then my father, which is weird looking back because I don't know. But he was the one who introduced me to Magic the Gathering, and I know people might not consider that necessarily a board game because it's a CCG collectible card game or whatever. But there are other card games that are thrown into just the board game just category, and I like Cards Against Humanity and stuff. And I would say that this qualifies at least for this. So, but once I got into Magic the Gathering, um, yeah, it was pretty much downhill from there. I had an addictive personality, and it was like being able to purchase and open packs and maybe get some rares. And I never really traded, but people would trade and sell all the time, and I just collected. And eventually, over the years, I've fell off from it, came back to it, and a few times. That's kind of a common theme with those passionate about the game, because it is an expensive hobby. So yeah, um, I have thousands upon thousands, tens upon I don't even know. I have a lot of Magic cards, Magic the Gathering cards. So yeah, um, that was a huge chunk of my gaming board game kind of life there. Yeah, from there, eventually, well, up to about I'd say 2.5 years ago, I say, is when I was kind of more regularly introduced to what is considered modern or designer board games. And some entry level games of that would be like Pandemic, Star Realms, King of Tokyo. I mean, you can see a bunch back here. Ascension, I would say. I think my first, I think Cards Against Humanity was probably one of the first, but I know there was a few others. But Ascension had my attention for a long time because it was created by people who had played or were professional or associated with Magic the Gathering. So I just naturally had that draw towards it. Um, and yeah, once I got into that more, I don't know, higher grade or caliber of board game, um, yeah, eventually it spread into, as you can see, I've got a huge collection. In my opinion, it's huge, but yeah, it's Not as some. I've seen a guy, he has thousands. I have video somewhere when I was over there once playing board games. Anyway, so, but I have stacks. There's like 4 or 5 stacks here. There's like in those bags, in the duffel bag. I gotta cover it because the cat will scratch it. I got board games right here. 4 stacks on the other side of the camera. More in the back office. And a lot of them are not opened. And even more of them are not played. So, and yeah, so I have like my collecting obsession because eventually I just went into a collector's role with Magic the Gathering, and then even video games. I've got games I buy and I don't open and don't play, and it's carried over into the board game realm here. So, and it is just uh, just as inexpensive as a hobby, I would say, as any other, and so yeah. I got a lot of board games. Thankfully, I have some friends who are good about contacting me when they're selling some of their collection and stuff, so I get decent prices, really good prices, really, and it helps a lot to mitigate the cost. So that's awesome. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I guess out of all the genres, I would say that my favorite is deck builders, and I think the grandfather of that would be the Dominion games, and that's probably one of the first that I actually played with some friends now and again was the Dominion, and then I eventually got into the Ascension, which was another deck builder, and my favorite deck builder is Legendary, Marvel Legendary. So it's got all the Marvel characters and great system, and it's pretty much co-op. They have like a, it depends on if you want to play with it, but it's fun because it's co-op and you all play together up to like 5 players. And if you want, you can kind of have like a showdown at the end where whoever has the most victory points is the true greatest hero or whatever. But it's kind of very, very, very secondary. And I like co-op games a lot, although I can understand an argument about people quarterbacking and trying to like optimize the best moves for everybody, and that gets really annoying. But kind of the nature of the beast there. But yeah. So anyhow, yeah, I've wanted to do game reviews for a long time on this channel, on my Cryton Chronicles channel here for YouTube. I've got unboxing videos, and that's kind of why a lot aren't opened because I want to do it, film it, and for a while it was going pretty good for a few weeks, and then just kind of dropped off. And then I have What's in the Box series. There's playlists on my page where it's basically the same as the unboxings, but I can just you know, show all the components and everything. And yeah, so I have those playlists. Just that's kind of why I've got so many unopened. It would be great to do reviews, but I have not done that, and that's partially because the camera and the editing software, I'm just not too familiar or comfortable with it, so not exactly sure. I'm just gonna have to jump in and like mess with it and whatnot. So yeah, and another expensive aspect, if you're like me, with the board games is if there's cards, I want to sleeve them. And so basically another reason why some of them aren't played is because it's expensive to buy sleeves, and I don't. Some people will buy sleeves for a game, then unsleeve them and shift them to another game, and I've not really done that. It's just I want to sleeve them all. Again, just like Magic, I don't really buy or I don't really trade and sell. So you know, I try to keep them all sleeved, and I don't know how many I'd actually eventually trade off, if any. So basically, it's just another money dump into sleeves to protect the cards. And since I play deck builders the most, yeah, it's a lot of money. And I always tease people if they don't have their cards sleeved. So yeah, especially for just game nights and everybody's, oh, I don't even want to think about it. Just sleeve your cards, okay? It's cool. It's just cool. Sleeve your cards. But yeah. Yeah, otherwise, like I said, man, there's so many games I can't really say. I'll probably do a separate video going into like what games of each genre that I like a lot. So, but like I said, deck builders are my favorite. Ascension, Marvel Legendary, and also Legendary Encounters, which are pretty much the same, just more story-driven, thematic for like the Aliens and Predator movies and stuff like that. So those are a lot of fun. But yeah, so I'm just kind of curious if you remember playing any board games while you were a child and growing up, and what they were, and if you what your own personal like evolution of playing board games. Did you just eventually stop and just not get back into the hobby as you got older, or did they shift kind of like mine to where you were introduced to more modern designer board games or Euro games and such? And if so, which genres do you like the most? And what games are some of your favorites? And what do you play? Do you have game nights? Do you have with friends? Do you have game groups where you go out like I have one that I met with, well, I met them outside of meetup.com, but it was a meetup.com group, so then I just kind of associated with them. I found that there's a lot of game groups that are like on sites like that, meetup.com, for just weekly gatherings and stuff, which is awesome. So I've thankfully kind of branched off and made little groups of friends that I sometimes game with outside of that. So that's good. That's good. That's good. But so yeah, do you have anything like that? Any game groups? Any set game nights? And yeah, just how board games played a role in your life, if at all. I'd be interested to see, or hear, or read. Okay, I'm vlogging. So yeah, so if you want, just leave some comments below, and we can start up a dialogue. And I'll definitely have no issue talking about board games. I'd love to hear what you all think. And yeah, so. Again, I'm Jack with Cryton Chronicles. If you want to learn more about the A to Z challenge, I'll again leave the links below in the description, as well as the official site and Facebook and this post. So look forward to talking to you with C, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.